Father God, we just thank you for another opportunity to continue to do your work and your will. We just thank you for all the families that are represented here, and the reason that we all are here, Father God, to continue to work and increase the communication and just to uplift our communities. We just thank you for all the gifts you provided. We thank you for all those who work to keep us safe, Father God, whether it be our local authorities, Father God, or on a national level. We just ask you to bless all our leadership, Father God, at all levels. We just thank you in advance for all the things you've done. We ask all these things in your son's name, Jesus, Lord. Amen. And our flag bearer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll start with roll call.
So, District 1, Curtis Potts is now replaced with Patrick or Pat?
Pat is fine.
Pat Frio.
Yep, I'm here.
District 2 technically still vacant until next month, is that correct? Okay. District 3, Billy Goodson.
Here.
District 4, Frank Fletcher. Here. District 5, Dwayne Kraft, not here. District 6, Rebecca Cologne Franz, I'm here. District 7, still technically vacant until next month. Chief of Police appointee, Rajiv Sharma.
Here.
Mayor appointee, Mark Heisman.
Present. Okay, we'll go on to acceptance of the agenda.
Mark, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the agenda as published.
We have a second.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? And we'll move forward with roll call vote.
Pat Frio.
Yes.
What was that, Billy?
I was just going to say, you corrected the spelling, right? So we're good.
On here, yeah, I'll get it right through the minutes. I'm sorry, Pat Frio.
Yes.
Okay. Billy Goodson.
Yes.
Rebecca Cologne Franz, yes. Rajiv Sharma.
Yes.
Mark Heisman.
Yes. Acceptance of the agenda. Next, I think the minutes have been circulated. Is there a motion on?
Mark, I make a motion that we approve the minutes that were circulated in the comment.
A second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to accept the minutes based on and with the note that if there's any corrections. I don't think there was any corrections, but then afterwards we'll all sign. We'll go ahead and do that we'll go ahead and vote by roll call vote.
Pat Frio.
Yes.
Billy Goodson.
Yes.
Rebecca Cologne Franz, yes. Rajiv Sharma.
Yes.
Mark Heisman.
Yes. Okay. That is approved. Next, we'll open up for any public comments.
So I'm here tonight to talk about an incident that happened near my home on April 16th. We heard some really loud, almost cannon fire, loud noises, like fireworks, but we weren't quite sure what it was. So my husband called the police and reported what we heard. And then we found out through our Nextdoor app and through social media that 4 other people had heard this and called the police as well. And we were looking out our window and we saw police show up with flashlights and they were looking around. And then the neighbors were communicating what was going on. They were talking to the police officers that were in their backyard, and they were starting to say, they were finding shell casings on the ground off of Eastview Drive, and Eastview Drive had been shut down temporarily to be able to do this search of what happened. And then I was concerned because whenever there's a fender bender on County Line Road, I get an email and it says, avoid County Line Road for whatever. And I'm just sitting here thinking that there were actual bullets being fired very close to my home. And I didn't get any notification at all on my phone to say, shots have been fired, police are actively searching this, the area has been shut down for them, just something to let us know kind of the procedure, what was going on. In addition to just the fear that, guns are just, prevalent in our society, especially here in Alabama. And I do not know, because I didn't get that email, didn't get that notification, it made me wonder how often this happens in our community. I know that 2 days later, the city published on social media about the incident that occurred, and that there were 2 cars involved, and one of them, because of a financial transaction that went bad, started shooting at the other car, and we actually saw a car pull up slowly and speak to the police officer. I'm not sure if that's the car that got actually hit by bullets. Fortunately, nobody was injured, but how often is this happening? What is the system of alerting citizens to when this happens? It would have been nice to at least get an all clear, that everything was, there's no more threat, and just to be calm. Because I didn't know if somebody was going to turn back around and try to finish the job. I didn't know, I just didn't know. And it basically went for 2 days on social media through the rumor mills of all the public versus coming straight from the police department of what happened. So I wanted to bring that to y'all's attention tonight.
And if I could be recognized, I actually have some information about that, and I think I might be able to respond.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
One of the things I think what we had was we had an investigation where basically everything pretty much went down the way you described it. Basically, there was a transaction over a gun and some counterfeit money. Guns taken, guy takes off in pursuit, and they basically shoot and put bullet holes in the other car. So what happened was they were able to apprehend, or at least give one of basically they got the description of everything, but they could not identify the car that night. So any kind of communication, unfortunately, could actually compromise their investigation if there was something that's put out on the next door or whatever that says they know who it is, it's just a red car, a Honda, and they think they're in Huntsville now, or if there's something like that. What happened was they were actually, through very good detective work, able to actually identify that car, find it, and were actually able to remove guns. I won't go too much into detail, but basically, they have suspects that were arrested as a result of that incident, but they weren't arrested until the next day, and it took some investigation in order to do that. So I think that the police would love to be able to say, hey, it's clear, don't y'all worry, but at that point, they don't know if these people are still in the neighborhood, if they went 2 houses down, or if they fled the state.
Yeah.
So I understand the concern, but I just want to let you know that I do know that through their very good police work in conjunction with Huntsville, that they do have the suspects and actually cleared those guns that were involved.
Yeah, if I may respond to that. I think that is wonderful. I do feel that, people listen to police scanners sometimes. And so that red Honda or whatever the vehicle was.
And I just made up a car.
Well, actually, there was a vehicle that was stated on the police scanners that they were looking for. And so we, neighbors were already circulating the model of the car. The police were looking for this. They heard this. And so still that rumor mill is catching, and I realized that it could have compromised, I may have compromised that, but a lot of people on Eastview live right off Eastview, and they have ring cameras and all this technology now. So had an alert gone out to say, if you saw anything at this time, and actually been able to review the footage from the homes that are right in that area, it may have, been a big benefit as well. So there's kind of a pros and cons maybe approach to that. And even like you said, that they apprehended the person, there were guns in their vehicle, just knowing that knowledge that they found the guy. I mean, we did that notice that went out on the city, didn't even say that the person had been arrested. So I think just more communication would be really nice, especially we feel like we live in such a safe community, but when that happens outside of your door and you hear it so loudly, it really rattles you. And realizing we're just all in the same boat and we're all not really totally protected, even though we have wonderful police. They can't, a good guy with a gun isn't going to get the guy that just shot people going down the road really quickly. So,
Can I just, I want to respond to the cameras that you're talking about, the ring cameras.
Sure.
And so I'm a former police officer. So the way that the police actually would have gone that route is if they needed to. But they got the information that they needed because the victim stayed and actually met with the police and told them what happened, gave them the description and all that information that they needed. So had they not had that information readily available, they probably would have sought out the neighborhood to ask questions and ask for footage if it was available. But it wasn't necessary in this instance.
Yeah.
I will say this to comment on this, and it's interesting, not interesting, but it's something that we talked with Chief about, because there's someone else had another concern about notifications and stuff. And one of the things, I'll summarize what Chief said, because he's much more knowledgeable than I. But one of the things he said is, and we're also going to publish this in the newsletter so people will be able to read it. But there's a public platform that people can sign up for. It's called Civic Ready, and we'll publish that so you'll be able to, so anyone can sign up for that. But one of the things he says, because we ask very specific questions about whenever there's gunshots, how the notification, and one of the things he said was they do have a system that they can and alert everyone in the area and all those things. However, there's no really 100% criteria for it, but they try to, I don't want to use these words out of context, but they kind of, and the example he gave was utilizing it more for like active shooters and things like that were going on, because what they did, the concern is if every time there's a shot fired, that this alarm goes off, an alarm system, people may become desensitized to it, and when there is even more emergency, then no one is like, oh, well, like a tornado warning, for example. You'll say, oh, it's not that close to me, and so he's looking at it now and trying to figure out what is the right mix, because if there's something going on and you get this alarm every, I don't want to say every time because I don't think we have that much, but I think it's trying to find the balance. But there is a system so that you are aware, and we'll definitely make sure that the information gets out to you so you can see what it is. And I will bring it back up to Chief, and at the next meeting, I'm sure he'll be here for him to be able to maybe talk more about it, because he's the most knowledgeable. I'm just giving you kind of the bird's eye view of it. But it is something that we brought to him before, and he has kind of summed it up. We will publish it in the newsletter, and then at the next meeting, I'll make sure that he also comes in and talks about it again. But I definitely can understand your concern.
Did he tell you who's responsible for making the decision for what goes on Civic Ready? Because I've noticed the names of the persons that send out the message, and occasionally they're dispatchers. But I know some of the dispatchers. So is it somebody down to 911 center does it, or in the PD?
I'm gonna have to
I didn't
err on the side of I don't know, and I don't want to give you bad information.
Yeah.
So I'm known just the top part, and if we could, I would really love to be able to kind of table it until the person who's the most knowledgeable, because I'm not that guy, and I don't want to give out bad information. So what I would love to do is I will go back and I'll put that as something that we need to go back and get some more information on, because I think talking about Civic Ready, making sure everyone understands it, and then how that system works.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a great topic.
Because during the day, we have people at the PD is one thing, but after hours, nobody's here, and you only have the dispatchers down at the 911 center.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
Great comment. It's leading us to what we would love to do, and that's to go down the path to figure out how we can be more educated on a system to keep everyone abreast on what's going on. I appreciate your comment. Thank you.
As far as reporting goes, I know the mayor sends out his newsletter about how many police calls that they were reported and different things. I mean, guns are a very serious problem, and I would like to know how serious they are here in Madison. And I'm wondering if in your newsletter or in the mayor's newsletter, if there is an incident involving guns, that we separate that out so that citizens can really understand that, the level of concern in our community with that growing problem.
If I could also be recognized, we just hired a crime statistician for the police department, which I think will also help us gather information and disseminate it so that we can get that to the public as well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I just can't say the word.
I did notice, Brian, that they have resumed putting, I'm going to call it the incident reports on the website. For a while, they were there. Then they disappeared for a while when they switched over to the new software. And it seems like now that has picked back up. It seems like it runs about a week in arrears. Like, takes like a week for last week's report to show up of what calls, were responded to and stuff like that. But kind of to that point about a statistician, but one thing I did, because I was actually, someone reached out to me one time and asked about that data, and Chief and them had responded, and that may have even been back before Chief was here. It was right when we first started up that the person had made a comment. I think it was right after Chief got here, but it was like, yeah, we had just swapped that software and they were trying to work all those kinks out. But that level of reporting, I think there's two different reports that they do. One is maybe a monthly and one was something weekly, but that is now back on the PD website or the city website. So
what I would like to do then is, as we look for our next newsletter, maybe those are some things we can add to.
Yeah.
We can get the website or the exact links and how people can acquire information.
Because there was a guy at one time, the guy who reached out to me when it disappeared, he was trying to create like a database of it, and they were wondering if there was even like an API to the data. I think they were like, not yet,
Okay.
So, but yeah, cool. I'll look that up for you too.
Okay. Any other, thank you, Tara. Any other public comments? Okay, now we'll go to committee reports. I want to first welcome Pat to the committee. He's replacing Curtis. I wanted to make sure that I formally thank, even though he's not here, Curtis for everything he did and being here, I guess part of the original crew, and the great ideas, the input, his effort that he provided. And then before I yield the floor but one thing I will say is, Pat, you've been here almost since day one, if not day one. Mm-hmm. And so, you're no stranger to what we do or what's going on. And it's good to have you aboard. So
Glad to be here.
Without further ado, do you have anything for them?
No, not at this point.
Did you get your bio down? I'm just kidding.
Yes, I did. I emailed my bio and my picture.
Oh.
Yep, you sure did. Yeah, definitely the fastest one. I mean, I didn't even have to ask you.
Okay, next we'll move to District 3 building committee.
That's nothing to report.
Rebecca, you have anything?
No, don't have anything to report.
Reggie, anything? No. Report. I don't have anything. So we'll move into old business, and one of the things, now I have something. One of the things that I think is important is the topics that we bring up at our monthly meetings, and what we think that I would love to get anything from the public on what they think are quality topics or things that we should discuss, as well as from the group. Now, there's a couple things that I have written down, and I did a kind of a Google survey, but it's kind of, I didn't ask the right questions, I don't think. So to nail down to the data, but I'll do another one maybe. But I would love to get more, because I don't, one thing I don't want to say this right. I don't want it to be that I think these are all great topics. I would love for it to be, we think these are all great topics. Now, I get it, I'm like the chair and spokesperson, but I like to speak because I'm speaking for the group, not just because that's what Mark thinks. So what I would like to do is open it up. There's a couple things that I had written down
potential topics, the things to talk about in the upcoming year. So one of them was we had a really good turnout, and I think, in my opinion, I think we could have used more time when we did our what to do at a police if stop. I think that the public had a lot more questions, and I think having it again, and I talked with Chief already, and he's more than happy to bring back more, maybe even 2 different officers that come in and give that perspective, and then to take field questions. Because I think, to me, that was one of the biggest things. I think we spent most time on questions and a Q&A. Yeah. So that was one topic, and I've talked to Chief already about doing that. And then I would like, the other thing is probably to do it in a time in which we make sure that we publicize it, to make sure that we can get as many people to come in and ask their questions, to lower down their anxiety if they have that, and afford them the opportunity to have that voice. So that was one topic I thought about. I'll give you mine, and then I'll take some additional. Thought about summer safety with that coming up. Also, I know that, and it's great because Rebecca and I was talking about this, is I think bringing in maybe the fire department to talk about the connection and what, maybe what they do and how they help keep us safe when we have those type of emergencies. And I know, and what Rebecca was sharing with me, that I know that there is a new, I don't want to say contract, but commitment, I guess, between MC and our local fire department. So maybe hearing from both sides of that maybe could be good as well. I'll have that down. And then one topic that I think would be great to revisit, we can revisit any topics, is SROs again. I think there's been a couple people that have brought up, they would love to hear more from the SROs, their concerns, what they see, what are things they can do, or they're seeing, or that parents need to know to help keep their kids safe in the schools. So again, wanting to make sure that I publicize that so the community and the parents can come in and ask those questions or those concerns to the people that are doing it every day and get that perspective. So those are the 4 things that I had, but I would love to hear.
So, Mark, I would expand.
No,
Sorry.
Go.
I should have.
Have you ever been to the 911 center?
No.
You've got to go there. And it would be great if we could get a presentation by one of the senior dispatchers explaining how they do it, when they do it. It's a very, very complicated process.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's great. That's a great one.
Oh, a retired Madison PD officer, her son is the supervisor down at 911 center now.
Okay.
Great.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Be interesting to do the tour.
You really should try to arrange
I
it.
got lucky.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's-
I wanted my ride along this.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's great.
Yeah, now I'm fascinated with that one. So, and this is kind of an expansion of your first topic, but I would say citizen-police interactions overall, I mean, we tended to focus, like in that one, on, traffic, but I was hesitant to bring this topic up while there was pending litigation, just because I thought it'd be awkward to put the city in a position of trying to talk about something like that while there was something going on that involved cases that may involve some of that. But just, what are the different types of stops and what are the parameters that happen in a stop? Like, there's, we had it in our training, where they talked about like Terry stops, what's the difference between when a cop just walks down the street and says, hey, who are you and what are you doing here? Where that's like a completely trying to describe something that would be a completely voluntary, where you can say, I don't want to say anything, I'm walking off, versus a traffic stop, which you're kind of detained while they process the stop, versus an arrest, versus, something where, hey, there's been a suspicion of a crime, you know, you were looking at a car window, I'm gonna ask you something, where does that fall in that spectrum? Because that seems to be, when you look at what happens in society as a whole, it's a lot of misunderstandings of those different areas of what are police authority in certain circumstances, what is your responsibility as a citizen, what is your rights as a citizen, to sit there and say, you know, hey, I don't have to answer any question, to the point of like, hey, there are times where traffic stop, you have to identify yourself. You know, that's part of getting your license, is submitting that back if they ask for it, right? I don't know if I said that 100% like legally correct, but you know, there are certain places where we have a responsibility, and certain times where we say, look, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to exercise, you know, my right to remain silent. You know, so that would be, to me, that would be a little bit broader topic, but I think it also affects, you know, a lot of what happens in society in those different areas of where and what should we and shouldn't we do. So, does that make sense?
I'm gonna call it police interactions.
Yeah.
Now where we go with that, I have no idea, but, okay. We'll talk through that. We'll come up with what's the best way to tackle that. Okay.
No, what I've heard is very interesting, especially up in 911. I've never seen that.
I don't know, go ahead.
No, I was saying more, there's ways to bridge like more of a, again, on the international population, anything we could do again to make them comfortable or address their concerns. And I think that's growing each day, that number grows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, try our best, okay. All right, so kind of going off what Billy was saying, but I was thinking more like I don't know if you could pull us off of something we want to attempt, but I was thinking like an interactive meeting, whereas it's all like public comments that the police can respond to live right there.
Kind of like a town hall kind of.
Yeah. So like we wouldn't really have, we would have our agenda, but then we wouldn't really have like the rest of it, like old business, new business. It would just be public commentary where the police can respond live right there.
Seems like we might want to seed some topics into that, but yeah, that makes sense, Rebecca. You know, anything to increase that. And when I'm thinking seed some topics where you'd say like something that I heard on the news this weekend. You know, it's like the drug turn-in. You know, I thought it was fascinating. Madison City, of the three, the county, Huntsville, and Madison like tripled Huntsville for the turn-in. And that's not all illicit drugs, right? It could be medications that are expired or no longer need, you know, there's a lot of reasons to do that. But it was like, when I saw the numbers from Madison, I was like, wow. It was like triple Huntsville and doubled Huntsville and the county combined. It was just like, wow. But I guess part of me was like, what did we do right? You know, what happened there that got the word out? Or was it one guy showed up with like all of his, you know, family's, you know, expired prescriptions or something?
20 years.
You know, some nursing home turned all their stuff in at one time or something. You know?
I think more has to do with the population of Madison. You know, we're a semi-upscale, well-educated community compared to like inner city Huntsville.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that idea too.
I like the idea of general comment. I'm just trying to figure we gotta be. I think the only problem potential is how do we keep it? Yeah,
Well,
we
we
gotta
would still
keep
have
it.
we could do it ahead of time. If you were to have this kind of meeting, we could have it posted online to where they could fill out comment cards and have it come to us directly. That way they're kind of signing up in advance for what commentary they want to make. And also still have our comment cards right there for any possible walk-ins. But they would have to fill one of those out, it would be heard.
Okay.
Guys,
Good evening. I think it's a great idea. The only thing is there's some other things I would want to talk to legal about. Because, I can see us making sure that we don't get into any legalities of particular cases and get into that would be the only.
The big bad lawyer could have to advise someone if they can't talk about pending incidents.
Yeah, so, and maybe that would be the thing is you there to kind of, hey, before we get started or as we get into and it starts to go a certain way, just, we have a lawyer in the room and do we have some lawyers speak?
I'll be happy to be there.
So maybe, but I think it's a great idea. And there's one thing I think is important and I would love to see more is just the dialogue. I mean, what we need to do just to get the dialogue and within reason. I mean, I'm willing to hear what people have to say, or what we can do to accommodate that dialogue.
If I could be recognized.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. I was also going to say, there's some other things that just to toss it out there. I think that we may have spoken about this, maybe not in the full committee, that the police department actually reached out and have an agreement with a group that actually provides translation services for if somebody stopped that, especially Indian. I think there may be some other languages as well, and that's a service that's completely free. So I don't know if there, you mentioned the international component, I don't know if that might be something that y'all might want to dig into or think about as far as how that works. If there is an incident where somebody is here during the holidays, family comes over, maybe not fluent in English, involved in some sort of stop. Of course, we all know the horrible thing that happened a few years ago. But PD is trying to take all the measures that it can in order to keep that from happening again. And nuts and bolts of that may be something interesting. So.
Yeah. No, I think that would be great, and we could tie it in with your comment and show the what is all the services that are available. Because people, you just said something that we're not necessarily abreast to it.
And it goes the other way. Is if you have somebody who is maybe say the victim of a crime, needs translation services, they can reach out. Maybe if there's some sort of distrust with the police or et cetera. They can also reach through this interpreter or this organization, which I wish I could remember off the top of my head. Yes.
Yeah. Didn't they come or?
They came.
Yes, they can.
But it's the same organization, so if it's already been rehabbed.
No,
But it would be good to have.
I don't think that component was there when.
No, because we talked about something a little different.
Yeah.
I think it was,
It was more on the, it was more on
domestic.
the domestic violence.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
And that's the other thing, if you have, so it's a very, I haven't seen it, it's there, and I just want, if it was publicized, it seems like it can be a very helpful thing in our community.
Some communities have a concentration of particular ethnic group, just off the top of the state, whatever. I wonder if we have anything like that in Madison, different ethnic groups, where we could invite someone from that group as a representative of that nationality to come participate and tell us what is your issue, if you have any issues, in dealing with the police department.
Rajiv, you're active with a group.
I'm an officer of the Huntsville Indian Association.
Oh,
which is an
I
umbrella.
I like that though. It would be, and even reaching out further to some other groups, but maybe yours as a first start.
And we have regional groups that are in Huntsville, Madison, one in Madison. I just went to a festival they had, which is a South Indian state. They had their own, so we've got different organizations. I know met officers all of them, so I'm happy to.
I think that's something we can tie to our international population conversation. And then now I'll open it up. I want to make sure I get forward. Go ahead.
All right, Aaron Bruns. I just wanted back home, Washington State, I grew up, and the police force there would have the DARE program to keep kids off drugs. And they would show up to a lot of the events, community events, with their souped up police car. It's all painted and lowered and everything fancy. And the kids would flock to it because it's a cool car, right? And then they'd hand out candy and cards, or little DARE cards and stickers. If there's something like that around here that we can at least announce that, hey, there's an event coming up, please be there, you know, so that the kids and families can interact with them. A lot of what I see is getting the word out and getting people to communicate is a big issue. So you need to get some kind of advertising out there about these meetings, because you don't hear about these. I drive to the arsenal every day and I hear about Huntsville ones. I never hear about these until the day after on the news, you know? So someone needs to market this meeting to get more participation. Maybe we started setting up booths at the festivals and being in the parades with a trailer, you know, stuff like that, just to market, advertise that this committee exists, what it's for in the different districts, and especially for people that don't speak English, you know, or have a fear of the police. You know, they can approach one of you, get a hold of one of you, instead of going to the police. That's their bridge, that's their communication. But I don't see the word getting out. I don't see anything or hear anything about this. So,
could we put a notice on Nextdoor?
I actually do that.
yeah,
I think I'm pretty much maybe the only person that publicizes our meetings, so I go onto Facebook, I go onto Nextdoor. I try to, you know, put it out there on different pages on Facebook, that the community actually goes to, like, what's happening, in Madison, past, future.
Past, present, and future.
Thank you. And the PTA page, I try to put it all over the place, but we need more than that.
and I think you're on the great ideas. I was gonna suggest opening like a general discussion with the police officers and police forces, for just a Q&A day or two, because that seemed to go over and, you know, we had to cut it short, so,
Yeah.
you know, that was a hit, and I think, you know, the public will benefit from that. We'll get more participation if they know, hey, we can just go and talk to them and find out what are personal questions they have and stuff. And absolutely the different levels that you discussed, as far as if I'm just walking down the street and you ask me, you know, I don't have that much myself, I'm not committing a crime, you know, but if they're investigating and they ask you, they want to clear you, then, you know, maybe you have to. So that's a good thing. Getting the other services involved, the fire department.
I like that.
That's a good
You know,
idea.
we hadn't really, I guess I tended to think of us being very police centric, and when you
Yeah.
said something about fire, I was like, wow, you know.
But it's a
Public
authority
safety,
figure.
right?
Yeah,
It's like-
public safety, authority figures, a lot of people have distrust no matter what
Yeah.
badge they're wearing. But, you know, if they come up on an accident and they're first responders and they need you to park your car over there and not come through and zip around with a school bus or whatever, you know, all these different things, then those need to be addressed. People need to know the rules and how to interact with them without getting themselves in trouble, because everyone's got emotions and they're gonna get fired up. So, but I think those are all good ideas.
Yes, there.
Love a good brainstorm. So, a couple things as I was hearing you all talk, the 911 center and having your meetings, I'm thinking field trip.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you invite the public and you actually go on the tour with the public and have like a certain amount of slots, I guess, available to actually take the public through a center like that. I think you can get a lot of participation that way. And when you discuss the SROs, which I think is a wonderful idea, that I think you could have the meeting at Bob Jones and have SROs speak. I know that the Board of Education recently passed some new parameters for more security and what they're going to be doing. So like a conversation around the elevated security that they just passed, the SRO speaking, maybe a tour of Bob Jones to say, you know, this is what that looks like would be really cool. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, there's a lot of new legislation, our legislature is currently meeting, There's new legislation going through right now. One of those things is you cannot smoke in cars with children under the age of 14. So that's like new legislation that might affect our community. It might be a good topic to discuss. There's another one about not being able to hold your cell phone. Is another one. And as I was watching some of those meetings, it was a really interesting conversation about what would you do if somebody got pulled over, like if you were pulled over by the police, what would you do? And the person said, well, I put my hands on the steering wheel and I look face forward. Well, then the person who was black said, I would go to a public location, I would call my wife, and make sure it was a very public place where I was being pulled over. I'd call my wife on my cell phone, which would then be illegal. So it was just a different process, and I thought that was a really eye-opening discussion that happened on the House floor. I think talking about that legislation, I'm happy to send you all some links. I'm the director of the Alabama channel. I record all the legislative meetings for our legislature, actually for the legal voters. But I could send you some of that so you can see the discussion happening and maybe incorporate that into your.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I came in late, so I really don't know what tonight's thing is, but I'll tell you, I'm not a resident of Madison, but of the county. But who I used to marry to, their family was, so they're very for. I keep trying to get him to come. And I'll tell you what, I used to be in advertising and national and in LA, and some of the simplest things that I noticed that draw me, that make me want to come, is meeting out. And people hear word of mouth. And I talk to people out here, and they say three things. What is that? What is that? And the best thing I can say is I said, look, I see Madison trying to communicate and do things for the citizens. People have a chance to come in a safe place and ask their questions. And I said, the first time I came, I said, I've had an incident. I wasn't in a happy camper, but it did something for me. I saw others we had a tendency to judge people by one person's action. And sometimes that person's action, since then I've seen humility. Gosh, I'm so sorry, I was misinformed. And on my own, I chose to do something, but I chose not to, because you know what? I've been there too. And people like to find a common ground. They don't want to just be told things, they want to feel a part of. So what I noticed was some people said, well, who's been there? And so, hold on. I said, I met the chief of police. I didn't know who he was. He was a nice guy, to be honest with you. Do you think they were just song and dancing? That's the first thing people want to know. They just song and dancing to get something, because most people are used to that. Nothing's free, somebody wants something. And then I told the joke, I said, one of the guys in here said, how many of y'all been stopped in the last year or whatever, got a ticket? I said, everybody in the room, including every councilman, raise their hand. But the shocking part was how many of y'all had not a great incident, which could be something minor or misunderstanding. So even one of the guys said, what is it? Suspicious maybe. He was on the council. I said, but the thing is, there was no arguing. There was no ugliness back and forth. I said it was people sharing, and you hear, I'm not the only one that feels this way. And I said, even some of the counselors, nice to know, they got stopped too. I said, I found that actually going, oh my goodness, I'm in a room of equals. And so they said, and then what? I said, and then one night I said, I didn't feel good at all as far as doing more than I came in internal affairs. And I happened to have already met with Captain Cook. And we had a great conversation about Jack and I found out my dad was his doctor, you know what I'm saying? And it was nice because resolve can do so much. And I said, there's a difference between a heart that's trying and a heart that's not. And I said, I feel it. I feel they're trying. And I said, I'll love for anyone that's trying to resolve, trying to bring together. And so they said, what was fascinating to them was Harrison in Toronto? Where's that? Came at night, took his time and came. Yeah, and these council guys do too, and women. And I said, and the chief came. And I said, I don't know who I see tonight. I don't know.
City attorney. City attorney.
Okay.
Right
Yeah.
forward, city.
I said, it might be a DA, maybe an attorney. It could be. And they said, and these people, I said, they're just people. We're all just people. But their thing is to bring people together because there's a common problem. And so it helped me. And so what I thought I was having to come to, because something happened, turned around to do so much for me. People around me see that and say, what's going on there? The three things they want is they haven't met y'all. If y'all could be somewhere where people could see what I saw. So how do you get them in? And then I said, I have a friend that came with me. She works for Madison. She has another friend. She said, boy, I wish it wasn't on Tuesday. I wish there was one other night. Tuesday seemed to be a bad night for everybody. I don't know why that is. I'm coming. I'm there. And I'm going to have surgery. I'm limping in, but I'm coming because I want to be. I think what y'all are doing is good. I think it brings good. And I said, look, you may not care. You may come and say it's not for me. You may not. But at least come and sit and see what you feel. And so having ones that take, and I've seen you here before, I wonder, who is that man? Because I've seen you several times here. Thank you for taking time, and all of y'all. People want to know. Word of mouth is the best thing because they see your eyes. And so I also was talking to the veterinarian hospital on that, on Slaughter Road. And we were talking, I've gone there for a while. People love animals. People love people. They want to meet policemen. And they want to meet your attorney for the city.
Yes.
They want to know who you are. They may be sitting by somebody else, trained in Texas, and sat by a friend one time, and found out he was Ronald Reagan's bodyguard. He was LA homicide, and he trained me on my weapon because he said, you're going to live in Texas and be a woman, you're going to know how to shoot, And he trained me like, well, but I've known Sid for years. I didn't know that. So I asked him who killed JFK. But anyway, I think people like to socialize. I don't think they get it coming to the library. I'm not saying it's a bad place to be, but they need to meet y'all. And so what I'm thinking is the simplest way, because when I was talking to Madison veterinarian, I said, y'all want to vote. Y'all need to pray and vote for Madison. You do. And they said, what is that all about? So there are ones that I know. There may be ones y'all know that just simply can go to the people that know us. I can go to the ones I know that say, hey, they're going to have an event. Come meet these guys. The city attorney's gonna be there. The guy from the come and meet them. You don't have to put on a lot of stuff. Come meet the chief of police. Come meet the firemen. Because they need to see and interact in a calm situation where they feel like that they meet you, and when they do, they'll want to come. Because everybody has an event. Hot dogs and hamburgers and all this, and and there's so many things going on here. But this is important. So that is something to focus on. They get free commercial, what is it? I used to do radio. I can't remember what it is.
Public service.
Yes. If you know somebody at one of the radio stations, best time, climb, drive. Say simply what I'm saying. We want you to meet us. Come one time and feel. See what it does for you. They want to meet you because we're here to do what? Resolve. And people don't see resolve, they see conflict. Yes. So if that helps, because I would go and be willing on my own time, and I'd be to come and go to the people I know. I make Jack go. I'm just kidding, I can't make it. But we can tell, I know Tina would know. Now she wanted to be here tonight. She has friends. And I would just like one time, or something happened where people come under that thing, because I didn't know who Captain Cook was, I didn't know who this was, I didn't know who she was, I didn't know who y'all were. So if that helps, and doing a public announcement for that one event, you may get a temp, and maybe on a night or day that's different, more people could have time to come.
Pull for what night works best for people. One question thing.
If that helps.
No,
I
it
don't know.
definitely does.
Thank you.
I will say this, and, I think when one of our very first interactions was we all had to talk about why we were doing this. And, one of the things that, everybody had a different answer by far. But the underlying foundation for everybody was, we just wanted to make things better. That was the goal at the end of the day. And, we care about our community and we just want to improve it. And however we could do that, we figured we wanted to make it so that we were an amplifier for the voice to bring, just to continue to bring the community together. And I think one of the keys to what the methodology that we're utilizing now is we try to utilize topics we try to educate at the same time. That's kind of been where we're going. But it makes, I've been the chair the entire time. And what makes me feel good is that we have people that come because they want to come and they feel like they're welcome to come, because that's the purpose. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. But one thing you said that, I can't believe it, I'm a military guy, and I didn't think about this. One thing that you said that I think that I can honestly say I'm not sure we've done a good job of, because I can't tell you what it is I think we need to iron out and develop a mission statement, what our mission statement is. I think when the resolution was put together to put the committee in, to create the committee, I'm not sure, I don't think we did. I don't think like a mission statement per se is done. I think it summed up kind of what we wanted to do, but like, so what is, because then to me, it helps, and when you said it, it really just resonated with me. It helps to say, hey, this is what we do. And this is how and we do it in this number of ways. So that's one thing that we're gonna take on, and we're gonna work to develop that. And I think that will help as we are pushing the message. Public events, that's something that we talked about before we came into somewhat of a funding issue. So I think that's why we haven't done it, but it's not off the table, and we can, we just gotta brainstorm and figure out a way to do something. One thing I've learned, one of my bosses said is let's work to find a way to get to yes versus just saying no. We may not get to yes immediately, and it may not be the yes we're looking for, but we can get to something. And I think that's one thing I can't wait to get the rest of everybody back so we can all go back and focus on doing that. So, but excellent comments, thank you. Makes me feel good. Obviously, we're doing something. We're doing something.
I guess I appreciated what you said from the standpoint that it kind of affirms some, it was interesting that you made a comment that you felt better after being here. Sometimes it's easy to go, okay, we're gonna go to the meeting, and that, thanks for that affirmation that being here makes a difference, so.
You come one way, I said I came in one way, and I didn't come in mean, but it was really a hard thing. But then I left different. And when you do and you resolve, it helps you heal, and then you can start caring for her, and I believe in prayer. And I can pray for it, and it makes change. And some of the change it makes is here. And when you do it here, and it's in one and it's in another, because I'm so tired of hearing color. I said, what if everybody was colorblind? Who would you know is good and bad? If there was no color, okay, and all you could see was black and white, by character, why are we so focused on color? So there's so many issues out there people are tired of. And then my friend Tina, she said, I wish they'd say who's gonna be there tonight. I said, I'm kind of glad they don't, because then I get to have to come to see.
We're gonna work on
Little
that.
Jack in the Box, president.
Right, yeah, we'll work on, and that's why I would like to do the topics, because then it does a better job of being, for people able to predict it. So if you do have other engagements, you can at least know, and then you still could be able to send comments, you still be able to do those things, so, that's good.
May I ask Brian a question?
Sure.
Is there a way for us to know when there's going to be public events that we can be a part of?
As far as like a city itinerary, kind of like a list of events, I don't know how anything's really centralized into like one document that says, here's a bunch of things. I'm at all the city council meetings, and so I have to approve, various agreements for this and that, so I know when they are. So I can do my very best to try to let y'all know when something's coming up as far as like a street festival, things like that.
Sometimes they're on the website.
They do, and our communications director, Samantha, she is basically going to know when they are before anybody else. So if you want to reach out to Samantha, or I can forward an email to her that says y'all want to, especially now that we're that spring, summertime, and all these festivals start popping up, she may have something like that. I just don't know off the top of my head.
If you could, for
Samantha Magnuson?
Yes.
I think I'm saying her name right.
Or explain who y'all are. People are lazy too much, but I can say that because I can be. I knew somebody that planted a garden all the time, said, hey, come pick what you want. And, it was a rare thing to see that, and I got this, I got that, and he said, you can get whatever you want, And then it got to where they said, ooh, I love your blueberries, I love this and that. Do you mind picking me some and bring them to me? Started doing it, and he thought, you know what? If they're free, and you can come get all you want, you come pick them. And so it said he planted them, he grew them, they're free, come get them, but you come get them yourself. So what I'm saying is, if y'all had an email, because it's the easiest thing as Samantha could do, to say, you may not know who we are. Tell a few, you don't have to say their names. Say, look, one person honestly said this, one person, some of the ones that called me was one lady said, when the officers were here, y'all seen everything out there, things we'll probably never see. And for that, I realize I'm sorry, I have not walked in your shoes. But then, we don't know who's coming up to the car, because there's good and bad. There's some that act kind of tough, and some that are, it's just people. But when she made that comment, I realized that, you know what? Because I saw the officers listen, and they realized something. We don't know, when you flip on that blue light, we're scared. Do I put my hands on the wheel? Do I drive this far down? And when I started telling people the truth of some of the statements I heard, they go, I wonder that too, how far do you go down the front? And I said, I don't exactly know. One guy said, we can tell if you're trying to run from us, or if you're looking to get up. And they started and said, they're really talking. They're talking. So the whole thing is you'll send out an email to people, I don't know how, and let them put out emails to people they know, and do this over. You may draw more people here because they're curious. They're just curious, if that helps.
Yes, sir.
I would also say that sometimes the city does use their social media in order to publicize certain meetings over Facebook, etc. So if there's an extra special, again, if you just send something out, every single meeting maybe it isn't. But if there's something special, or maybe have a special speaker, or got an event, obviously the city could help put that on the social media, maybe get it out.
And that's kind of why I would love to. I want to put together maybe our calendar, I can't say it was, kind of put together our calendar of sorts. So then we would be able to leverage maybe some of the city's assets when they publicize on social media and otherwise, our assets, talking to other people who are, to continue to get the word out. And that's why I would love, my goal is to develop our schedule of topics that we want to talk about. So that, and even if we get it if we do it far enough, it can be something that even in a newsletter that we send out, we'll say, hey, the upcoming months, we're going to talk about this, 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 and this. And we would send that out to people as well. So but okay.
We can always have a meeting with Samantha also. She's in communications, like you said. I had a meeting with her when we first started, but we can have another. I'm always about talking about it.
Okay. And there's Samantha, and she also has a gentleman that we just hired that also works in communications. We have 2 people that would be happy to work with them. Okay. Gabe, I cannot remember his last name. We are, actually.
Real quick, I know you all, we've talked about recording meetings, but I do think that's one way to let the community know of, what you all do. Because I've heard about meetings and I've read about the newsletter and kind of understood it that way, but some of the meetings that I haven't been able to attend, I would have loved to actually been able to see some of that. And even if you don't decide to record the meetings per se, I think maybe working with Samantha, because she has done some pretty nice video projects for the city, maybe you take those 2 topics that are the most highlighted topic of the year and do 2 videos about what it's like to be pulled over and what you should, that you've done, so that you can focus in on those. And then as I at Madison, if you ever need us to come to one of your meetings and maybe do an interview afterwards, talk about what you've discussed and why it's important or something, we're happy to come if you just reach out and let us know.
Awesome. About the interviews with the public, I guess I would call you a public forum. There are a number of groups out there that we could possibly sit and interview with.
Another idea just jumped in my head for a presentation. SROs. When I look at the average high school, I see almost an alienation. High school kids are different. And I would love to hear from the mouth of an SRO how he does his job, what he has to do, how does he communicate with these kids that are living on a different plane than the rest of us.
I got that first.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I had that.
No, that's fine.
No, we had them before, but I think it would be great to have them here. No, absolutely. Okay, so we got some stuff. We'll put this together and then we'll work on to do a calendar of events. And I want to talk to Chief too as well, because Chief, he's excellent. He has a lot of great ideas. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move to new business. At this time, we were gonna do announcements, but I would really like to wait, actually, because I would love to have them here so I can publicly announce them. And again, wanted to, even though he's not here, thank Curtis for what he does. And like I said before, Pat's this isn't his first time around, so he's been here quite regularly, so I'm sure he will be a great asset to the team. We're just glad to have him. Any other new business that we have? Okay.
Mark, make a motion if there's no other business to discuss that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to adjourn the meeting. We're gonna do this by voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.